Just Crafting Around. I'm Kelly Brandner and I will be your host for today. We are working on some craft stuff to put up in my office. We have a whole wall that we are going to be decorating. So we are going to be making a number 3. And the number 3 has to do with grandchildren. Great news, I'm going to be a grandma. This will be the 3rd one. So I am going to be a grandma and I am so excited. So I am going to do a number 3 and I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that. Some other ideas of things that you can put around this that I have going on. Just some ideas. The next thing that we're going to be doing is on the next show, we are going to be showing how some different things that you can incorporate yarn along with wood and embellishments, things like that. I plan on doing a craft show with things that you can find around the yard, things that you can find probably at home that you have laying around that you can do. We're going to be doing some painting on rocks. We're going to it'll be fun, trust me. So we've got some ideas going. We're going to get started on the number 3 here. I know I've done this before and I've showed you guys this before, but I'm going to show you again some of the techniques and stuff that we're going to use. We are also going to be using some textured paste. We're going to color the paste. We're going to add the paste later after we distress this. We're going to be using the green color. The colors that I've pretty much so used in the office are the greens, the reds, the duck egg blues. So green is the color that we're going to be using for the number 3. Along with everything else, never forget the coffee. Okay, with that being said, I'm going to put my coffee cup down here because we're going to be quite busy. The thing that I have found that is the handiest when you are crafting are really 2 things that I would never go without. A good paintbrush, because a good paintbrush is so important. The other thing I would never ever go without anymore is my electric sander. This baby has saved me so much time, especially if you're into distressing, if you're into the chippy thing, if you're into just doing anything like taking a sharp edge and dulling it, anything like that. This will take you seconds compared to a piece of sandpaper. I do like the sandpaper blocks, but if it's a bigger project, I really do want to go with something easy, something that doesn't take as long, and of course that would be the electric sander. Okay, so I did pick out a green that I really like. I don't usually stir the paint. The paint is chalk paint. My favorite paint that I use, chalk paint, my number 1 favorite. Biggest reason I use it is because it is very easy to distress. I also found that if you use chalk paint, do not use a sponge brush. To me, a sponge brush just doesn't seem to cover it very good. Maybe it's just me. Maybe others have used a sponge brush and it has worked okay. For me, not so much. Okay, I'm going to take this. I happen to find this at Hobby Lobby. It's paper mache. And yes, if you're gentle, you can use sandpaper on paper mache. Okay, you sometimes need a couple different coats of this. Again, bought it when it was half off. I did find some places where they were actually doing 60% off in Hobby Lobby, but I did get this at Hobby Lobby. Like I have said in the past, I go to a lot of stores, ask my husband. He really is not into that, but every time I go, I like to stop at Hobby Lobby in Bismarck. I stop at Michael's and I stop at Joann's Fabrics. And the reason I stop at both those, or all 3 of those places are, they all, the 2 places have different bins and stuff that you can go into, like a dollar bin or different things like that. I do like to go into that. At times, Hobby Lobby does have things on sale for 60% off. Not all the time something that I'm looking for, but you never know when you use it. And for 60% off, that's a heck of a buy. So I do buy things that are on sale once in a while, and just in case I'm going to need it, because generally I will need it. The thing that I do like about chalk paint is also, it is a very, very good paint to clean up. If you get it on your hands, if you get it somewhere where you don't like it, very, very easy. Lisa just handed me this apron because she knows what kind of a painter I truly am. And this is a newer shirt, so I really don't care to get it full of paint. I have had several shirts already that I have gotten full of paint. The other thing I noticed that I should have done was probably bring my brush that I'm used to at home, because you will find some of these brushes the fiber of the brush does come off, and I don't like that. If I am sanding, I just sand the spot lightly to come off, but if I don't want to sand a project, I don't want to be losing bristles all over. And this one is definitely a bristle loser. So I'm going to get in between here. Sometimes I do the back, and I might just do the back with one coat, depending on how I'm going to hang it. I have found that I do like for something that is as light as paper mache, I have found that instead of putting a hole on your wall, and yes, my husband loves that idea, instead of putting the actual nail in a wall, you can use the command strips, the hanging picture command strips. I have found works wonders. I love them. Now, my office does not have any texture wall. It is much, much easier to hang on a non-textured wall than my textured wall at home. I do find that they don't seem to stick well at home, but they stick really, really nicely in the office, where I have wallpaper in my office, so I really don't want to put holes in there. Plus, I don't think my boss would exactly want me to be putting a bunch of holes. Okay, so it doesn't take long either for this type of paint to dry. Doesn't take long at all. Now, you're going to see that when you do paper mache, because you're getting it wet, it's going to bubble a little bit. It's okay. Once it dries, the bubble goes away. So you will notice that part of it. I'm going to have to paint all the way around the corners here. And then when we distress this, like I said, we're going to distress the ends, but when we distress the ends, we are going to distress them lightly. We are not going to go full bore like I usually do on a piece of wood. We are going to go lightly. We're going to distress around it lightly. We are going to lightly coat it with the different stuff that I have. Right now, I like this Minwax, the wood finish, the penetrating stain. For a lot of my stuff, I do use the dark walnut. So you can also go to your local hardware stores. I know the Harriet Lumberyard here does have different kinds that they sell, and I have used that, and that works just as well as what this does. So it's whatever brand you're used to, whatever color you're used to. That's my other thing. I do go and I'm a big shopper at Menards and stuff. If I do find something I like, I try to stick with that color in that brand. I will go off brand though, because sometimes it's not as important, but if I want to stick with that color with everything, I like to try to stick with that. Try to stick with the stuff that I really like. Now, I'm going to try to find a little bit of a dark spot, hold this down, go around the edges, let it dry real good. Once we let it dry, we'll coat it one more time. And you can look at it. Sometimes you don't have to coat it a second time. This green looks like it's finishing pretty nicely. We may not have to. And if we don't have to, why waste the paint? We won't. But we'll check it out. Sometimes some of the paint, like I said, you have to do a second coat with it. Others, not a big deal. And being we're distressing it, I'm not so particular. The paint colors going the same way, painting it this way, painting it that way. It's the other thing about painting is you should try to go the same way all the time. Go with the grain of the wood. I do try to do that when I'm using wood and I'm not distressing something, which hard to believe, right? If I wouldn't be distressing something. But again, on this show, I kind of do things that I like to do. If you like colors like this, when I do my granddaughters, when I make them anything, I will not distress because that's not their deal. They like nice, vivid colors, so I'm all about that as well. Got to do what you like to do. The only thing, like I said, that is very important is if you find a brush that you like, buy at least 2 of them because it is important to have a good brush. I found a brush that I absolutely loved. I only bought one because of course you want to try it out first. And then when I got to wanting to buy another one, they didn't make it anymore. So now I was kind of on a struggle, but I did find a brush that I really, really liked. So next time I get back to Bismarck, I will have to go back in and take a look at it. We are going to use some different stencils here. What we're going to do is we're going to use a flower, and the reason we're going to use a flower for the different stencil is because I have something else we're going to be doing in the next show in a couple weeks, and that has to do with a flower. So I kind of want things kind of matching a little bit, and once I'm done with the other show, we'll put the 2 things that we did together this month, and I'll show you what it's going to look like.
Valley is now offering updated digital TV packages and prices. High definition and caller ID is now free with all TV packages. Call Valley today at 437-2615 to find out more.
So what we're going to use is we're going to use one of these flowers, and I am going to be using this textured paste. And with the textured paste, what it's going to do is it is going to bring out more of the flower. And I want to lay the flower to make it look like it is actually coming off the number 3. So we're going to try to put it in the middle, and we're going to see what we can do. Again, haven't done this before, so we're going to rock this out together. Okay, I am going to use the textured paint, and what I'm going to do with the textured paint is I am going to mix a little bit of color with it. Because I'm going to make believe that this is a daisy because I love daisies. I love the different colors. When you go into the grocery stores and stuff, sometimes like in Bismarck and stuff, they have very vivid colors of daisies, and I absolutely love a daisy. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the dark yellow for the middle, and we are going to use acrylic. And then we are going to do the outside. I haven't really quite decided yet if I'm going to use the pure white or if I'm going to turn around and use kind of the cream colored. And the cream colored I do have in the chalk paint. The other is the acrylic. And I think we'll probably stick with the acrylics. Okay, I'm going to let this dry. As soon as this is dry, we're gonna sand it a little bit, and then we're going to distress it, and we're going to go from there. Now, the other side, beans, I'm only using one side here. The other side we are not going to use, let me just kind of, no, she's still just a little wet. The other side we're not going to paint because we're going to be putting it on the wall. If I'd be standing it up, a little bit different story, we would do it then, but I'm not going to waste the paint for that. I'm going to let this dry, just a little bit yet, and then we're going to take the electric sander after it. And again, we will be careful. Probably use a sanding block on this and see if I can get this to look good. Good. Put my paintbrush in the cup there. And let's get out our sanding block. Like I said before, these sanding blocks are kind of nice, but I feel like once you really use them, you use them and they're done, and they don't work as good after you wash them off. I'm not really that crazy about them, to be honest with you. The thing that I really do like is to get into the corners and stuff like this is our emery boards, and emery boards are about as cheap as they come. I'm going to plug my electric sander in. This was the other stencil that I found that I like, just kind of a checkerboard, just kind of something out there, something different, but we are going to use the daisy and see what kind of a mess we can make. Get my sander plugged in. open area where you can use your sander, not such a good deal to do it around your paint and where you're painting and stuff like that. Do it more out in the open. I try to use the sander mainly and mostly when outside or away from my paint area, somewhere where you don't want a lot of dust to be flying around, especially if you are going to be using any type of clean area. Downstairs, I don't even like to do it in my basement because then it makes such a mess all over everywhere and the dust does fly. So I'm gonna let this dry a little bit more because I see that there's still bumps and stuff on here that need to dry. Like I said, once everything dries real good, you will know it because it'll be a finish that is nice and smooth. So once this is dry, come back and we will start sanding.
Blazing fast broadband internet from Valley is now available and better than ever. Let us help you decide which speed is best for you. The 50 meg speed would be sufficient for 1 to 4 devices, mainly emailing and surfing the web. Our 100 meg speed works great for 5 to 8 devices and multiple users streaming and downloading video. If you have 8 devices or more that are simultaneously streaming or gaming, or if you have a medium-sized business, the 250 meg speed would work best for you. For extreme heavy home or work from home use, or if you have a medium to large business using 15 or more devices, you may want to consider our 500 meg download speed to fit your needs. And if you're a home or business that needs it all, we have our 1000 meg, 1 gig broadband internet speed. Call our office today at 437-2615 and talk with one of our staff members to pick the speed that's best for you.
Ready? Okay, we are going to start sanding this a bit. Of course, you sand around the edges, anywhere that you can get. I'm going to use this here so that I can actually sand like in the little crevices and stuff like that. Just some little places. Again, nothing too fancy. Places where I know I'm not going to be able to get my sander in, which is going to be pretty much around the smaller places here. I like to sand on the fronts a little bit because that's where you see it. So you want to be able to do that. And of course you're going to have like the little chippy that comes off because this is paper mache. Don't go very hard. A little bit of pressure is all you really need. Once you are done with this, wipe it off real good so that any of the dust that is on there does come off. Sometimes I do forget to do that, and then there are times I end up with a mess. If I do it too quickly, which I've been known to do, and again, a lot of times I will do a project and I won't like it, and I start all over again. I have done that several times already, or tried out a new color on a different piece of wood and thought, oh, I like that. And then I decide to use a different kind of wood because I either wanted a little more grainy or goodness knows why I would have changed my mind, but I change my mind, and then all of a sudden it doesn't look the same because the grains are different on different kinds of wood. So the stains take differently on different things. I was surprised to find out, but I guess it shouldn't be because paper mache is just paper. So it does take the stain really, really well. It's dry. Not all wood, in my opinion, takes the stain the way I think it should. So rough it up. My book, the rougher the better. And again, depends on what kind of a detail you're looking for. Once I get done, I kind of take a look at it. I either go after it again or I let it alone. I've even done it where I've sanded before, completely changed my mind, completely overturned what I've done. It's a do-over. Okay, here we go. Now that took very little time compared to actually using any kind of sandpaper or using this. This took very, very little time. So, like I said, we're going to put some stain on here. I do rather like this already. Oh, and have I mentioned I'm going to be a grandma again? I'm loving it, loving it, loving it. And my son Charlie and my daughter-in-law Tara are expecting their first little one. So exciting. I'll be able to tell people all the stories. And I truly, truly hope that that little one gives son Charlie all the little things that he did with us. You always kind of feel that way, at least I do. Because you like to go, God, told you so. Charlie wasn't really a daredevil, but now I'm trying to look for the word to use in case he's going to be watching this show. Sort of, kind of daredevil. Looking for that in-between word. And again, my favorite stain is the dark walnut. I did find a gray stain that I'm absolutely in love with, and I will show that to you in our the next show that we have, because using the gray makes it look like old barnwood, or it looks like pellet wood that has been left out in the rain. I know what rain, right? But that's been left out in the rain and the sun and the elements. So always wear, always learn that the hard way too. Always wear rubber gloves when you're doing, especially when you're using the stains. Okay, another technique I learned, don't take that much stain. It does soak up in your rag. Dab it on your wax paper. Get some of it out. You can always add more, but you can't take it back. So, all depends on what you're looking for. It's going to take a little while too when we're done with this to let it set and let it dry. And the humidity and the heat and stuff isn't drying as good as what it should be. So we're going to let this set when we're done, and then we'll come back and we're going to add, like I said, the texture to it. But while we are adding the texture to it, we can start working on, I found the cutest frame, well, I think it's cute anyway, to put the grandkids' pictures in. Easy enough to switch out, goes with my motif. you know, shabby, chic, crazy looking, rough around the edges. I guess that kind of explains me. Maybe that's why I like it so much. Kind of explains me. Okay, I'll have you take a look at this. This is the front. Now we have the sides left to do. So we're going to continue with the sides, but I'm really falling in love with this. And I'm really liking the color. Okay, we'll continue. When we come back, I will show you what I found, what we're going to be able to do. We'll go from there.
Faster than fast internet is here. Valley now has higher broadband speeds of up to 1 gigabit. Get the bandwidth you need for all your devices at one time. Gaming with no lag time. Video stream your favorite movies instantly in HD quality. Video chat with friends and family without interruption. Download your favorite music and photos in seconds. All on our 100% fiber optics network. Valley offers managed Wi-Fi and backup services too, bringing together all the services you need. Valley Telecommunications Cooperative.
So I found a picture frame that I really like. It's got 4 of them in here, but I'm going to put my granddaughters and my soon-to-be grandchild in this frame right here, along with the number 3. Now, the other thing that I found that I could put on my room is I have some old flashcards from a school. So I am going to use the 2 plus 1, which equals 3. So I'm going to put that up on my wall. I've got a couple other little things that I can do. My daughter had sent me some pictures. The oldest one is Ashton. The little one is Avery. She's got it behind the ears. Here they are again. Avery graduated from preschool and is going to be a kindergartner this year. Again, behind the ears. And here they are on their bikes, bike riding. So I'm going to cut these out, going to put them in the picture frame. And here's the soon-to-be updated little grandchild. So we're going to take these, we're going to put them in the frames, then we're going to take the number 3 and we will work on that. So come back and see what it looks like. Now that we have the number 3 taken care of, we've got the sides done here. We have the color green that we like. We are now going to take this texture paste. I will take this and decide for sure what flower I want on here. Want it to look like a flower. Some of these are quite big. May just use this littler one. I'm going to try to hang it off the side a little bit, see what we can do. Make it look like a flower that's actually come off of here. Might just do it in one section instead of, I'll see here once what I kind of decide to do. Maybe I won't have it hang off. There's only so many places you can put it on the number 3 here to where even the smaller flower is going to work out okay. I think maybe, just maybe, I'll do this and see what it turns out like. See if I like it. You know, sometimes you do things and you don't like it. Well, this is one of those times when maybe I'm just gonna have to like it. I'm gonna tape it down as good as what I possibly can tape it down. It might just be so that it doesn't move as you're applying the texture to it. So, get myself some tape. The tape that we're going to use is like the painter's tape. This just so happens to be yellow tape. I'm going to tape it down as good as we can. Go with it as far as what we can. And we're going to mix up. The texture itself comes, it's called Ranger. It's texture paste. This is the kind of stuff that I use. The place where I did find this was in Michael's. I have noticed though that Hobby Lobby and Joann's Fabrics has it as well. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to move this over a bit and maybe up a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Now I think I have it the way I want it. What I want to do is I want to do the yellow of the inside. We're going to call this a daisy. May not be a daisy today. It's going to be a daisy. And I'm going to do the inside yellow. You only need just a little bit of paste. It dries very quickly as well. It's already white, so therefore we're not going to need to change or use the white part of it. And I'm going to keep it white. The inside we're going to do the yellow, like I said. These are the different utensils that you can get. The different, I call them little knives. The one that I like to use is this one right here. You've got the other ones. I would say that's maybe for a little bit more texture stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my finger over the top of the middle one. Try to hold this down over here by using some tape and taping in this flower side. See if I can get this to stick a little bit more for me. Yep, that'll work. Plus this tape is easy enough to where when you take it off, it's not going to take your paint off either. And that's what you want to use this kind for. So, because we're going to do the middle, I'm going to attempt to tape off a little bit of the middle so that we don't get any white paste in there, because I do want to make that yellow like I said before here. So we're going to tape it in there, plus it'll help hold down the stencil part of it. Okay, when you put this on, put it on little bits at a time. I can just show you what I'm doing here. It's going to be one of those flowers where it's going to kind of come off the number a little bit. Okay, we've got it held down. This paste, you don't have to add anything to it. As you can see, it is a pasty, textured stuff already. So we're just going to take a little bit. And you have to work with it to get it into the grooves. So work with it as much as you can. Don't work with it too much, because when you work with it too much, you're going to take it out of the grooves, and I don't want to do that. I want to leave it in the grooves. I'm just going to go across it, make sure that I've got all my parts taken care of that I want. It's like putting icing on a cake. Of course, the thicker your stencil is, that is how thick that it's going to leave this. Now that I smeared it on, I'm going to pull it off. Now, I can see that I have some in places I don't want it to be, so I'm just going to peel it off. Because once it dries pretty true to cause here. So I'm going to pull off what I want. Okay, I'm going to peel this off. I'm going to wipe this off because we are going to want to use the middle portion of this now. So I'll just take a rag. I'm going to take a paper towel. What I find that I do is I will use the stencil, and then once I'm done with it, I usually put it in the sink with just some warm soapy water. Let it take care of itself. But always wash your stencils. Always wash your stencils. Okay. We got that looking pretty fine. Wait for that to dry. And as soon as it dries, then we will go in and we will do this part yellow.
Valley Telecommunications, the home team advantage.
We've completed the project now. As you can see, we just took a paper mache 3. What we did was we painted it, then we distressed the corners, the sides, up on top a little bit, and then I took some stain, some dark walnut stain, and I stained it. We then took a stencil, and I wanted it to be in a flower, so we took the stencil, we used some paste here, we put that on, let it dry, and then we put a little bit of paste on there, and we also let that dry. I wanted it to be a daisy. Here's the number 3, and that is because 3 grandkids. Here's 2 plus 1. I have 2 granddaughters, and we're going to have a grandson. So 2 plus 1, and then the picture. So this is part of what I'm going to. Put up on the wall, on my wall in my room. You can find all different things to put up. You could do a domino, which we're going to do one of these days. We're going to do some dominoes. I'll show you how we can do them. We're also going to do some Scrabble blocks, so we can do that kind of stuff as well. So we will put this together and we will put it up in my office, and that is part of the 3. If you find something later on that grabs your attention that you really like, you can do something like that as well. Come back for the next show next week. We are going to be working on a sign also for in the room in my office. So come back and join us again.